till this point, we have seen how to connect Spring and Hibernate with the help of Spring ORM, and everything is awesome, right? But the only problem is the number of configuration which you have to do. First of all, we have to add dependency. That's fine. That actually makes sense to add all those dependency. But still, look at the number of dependencies which we have added. We have added all this dependency by ourselves. That's one issue. The second issue which I have is the configuration. Look at the configuration, and that too in XML. Yes, you can convert this into Java configuration, but still, as a programmer, we are focusing on configuration. We don't want that. We are programmers, we want to focus on logic. And that's where Spring Boot says, hey, you focus on convention, which is logic. I will focus on configuration. So let's do the same thing, whatever we have done here in Spring Boot. Now, of course, we need to specify all these properties because this is not something Spring Boot can guess, right? Spring Boot don't know that we are using MySQL. Spring Boot don't know that what is your IP address and the database name. Spring Boot don't know your username and password. So in this case, we have to configure all this thing, but not in XML. In Spring Boot, we have this awesome file, which is property files, right? It actually makes sense to write everything there, and it is a bit easy. So let's go there and let's do all this stuff. You don't need to do that because Spring Boot will take care of it. So let's close this, and we don't need this anymore. Let's go back to Spring Boot application, which is demo in this case. And you can see we have home controller from where you will be accepting request. The only thing is till this point, we were returning the static content. We don't want that. We want to return the dynamic content coming from database. And then we have a model class here, which is alien.java. Now what is missing here is the repository, right? The DAO layer. That's something we have to create. So we have to create a DAO layer. What else? We have to add dependencies as well. But do we have to add all the dependencies? Technically, we don't need all. First of all, we need MySQL because you are connecting the application with MySQL. So let's do that first. So let's go to Safari. And now we want a MySQL connector. So just go to mavenrepository.com and search for MySQL connector. You can pick up any version you want. Of course, we are doing this from a long time now in this series. So now we know which one to copy. So let's copy this version and paste it here. So MySQL done. Now we need one more. Not Hibernate, not Spring Transaction, not all those dependency, but one which is Spring Data. Now Spring Data is something using which you can connect to database using Spring application. And it actually makes sense to use Spring Data when you work with Spring Boot. Again, I will tell you why. So what I will do now is let me add that dependency first. So I will go to again Safari, and here I will search for, in fact, you can open any browser. Let's search for Spring Boot Data. Now, when you search for Spring Boot Data, this is the dependency which you have to add, Spring Boot Data JPA Starter. So let's click that. Now, which version select? So I will pick up any version because anyway, we will be removing the version number. It is mentioned globally. So let's paste it here after Spring Web. I don't want to mention the version number here because that's something we have assigned here. So not have to mention in every Spring dependency. So you can see I have added two dependencies here. The first one is Data JPA. And second one is MySQL connector. Now, once you have done with that, what I will do is, let's go back to application. You can see nowhere I have configured anything for database, okay? But still, what do you think? Will this work? We just added two dependency. Normally in normal project, even if you add dependency, it is not compulsory for you to do the configuration. If you want to use them, then only you have to do the configuration. But that's not the case with Spring Boot. Example, if I run this application now, so let me say run as, let me just stop the other executions. I will say run as a Spring Boot app. So you can see we are getting an error. It says fail to configure data source URL. Oh, that's weird because nowhere in the application, you can check the entire source code here. Nowhere I'm talking about the database connection. We just added dependency. And that's where the problem starts because the moment you say Spring Data JPA in your project, it is compulsory for you to configure the database connection. Otherwise, it will not work. Oh, that's a compulsory. Oh, let's do it then. So let's go back to the application properties. And here we have to provide the configuration. Now, what configuration you ask? The first one, you have to mention the URL. In fact, first of all, we'll add the dialect. So when you work with Hibernate, see behind the scene, Hibernate is running it, right? So, or JPA Hibernate is running it. So we have to specify the dialect here. So let's say spring.jpa.properties. Why I'm typing all this thing when I can do the shortcut? So you don't have to type it, you simply have to say hibernate.dialect. That's weird, I'm not getting the entire stuff. Let me just type it here. Spring.jpa.properties.hibernate.dialect. Now once you got the dialect, you have to specify the dialect name, which dialect you're actually working with. So I'm working with MySQL, but that belongs to org.hibernate.dialect.mysql5 dialect. Okay, so as your dialect changes, this will change. So if you're using Postgres, this becomes Postgres dialect. That's the configuration you have to do. Now the next three important. The first one is URL. Now when you work with JDBC, you know what we need. We need URL, we need username, and we need password. So let's assign that here. So I will say data source.url, the first configuration. So that is your JDBC :mysql //localhost :3306 / database name is Telusko. The next one we need is username and password. So I will say username. So that's for data source dot username. Where is that? It's here. So username we want is root, and data source dot password in this case is 1234567. That's my database password. That's done. We have provided the configuration. We just want to solve this error first. So let's run this and let's see what happens. The moment you relaunch the application, now you can see we have not got any error. So the only thing we have done is we have added dependencies and we have configured the application.properties. Next step would be we need to create a DAO layer. Then we have to go to home controller. We have to use DAO layer. We have to also make sure that your alien class has entity annotation and at ID. But that we'll do in the next video. Now once we got our dependencies and then we have also configured our application.properties by specifying these 4 properties here, let's create our DAO layer. Now if you remember in Spring MVC as well, we were supposed to create a alien DAO class. But what we will do here is instead of creating a class, let me create an interface. I'll right click here. I will say let me create an interface and we'll name this interface as alien repo. Now you might be thinking, okay, so we got the interface here. We'll be writing some methods here. You know, the CRUD operations, add alien, get alien. Maybe you can also try removing the alien. And then we will create some class which will implement this particular interface. That's what we are thinking about. Let's see that later. But what I will do is I will simply extend this class or this interface with another interface named as JPARepository. So this JPARepository will ask you for 2 things. One is it will ask you for the class, which is alien in this case. And the second one, it will ask you for the type of primary key. In this case, we are using integer. Let me import the package. So you can see we have created the repo here. Okay, so the point is if you got the repo, which is your DAO in fact. So once you got the repo, you have to create a class which will implement this interface. We'll do that in some time. Let me just go back to home controller and now I want to instantiate the repo. And the way you do that is very simple. You say alien repo. Let's name it as repo itself, the way we have done for DAO. And let's write auto wired. Now one thing which is very important, if you want to instantiate this alien repo, you need a class and we have not done that till now. Okay, let's keep it for later. Now once we got the repo, we can simply perform certain operations here, right? We can call those methods. We'll do that, but before that I want to go back to alien, and in alien we have to specify that this is an entity, right? And then we have to also mention the at ID annotation here. So that's done. Let's go back to home controller. Now once you got the repo, let's first try to convert this get aliens here. So I don't want the static names, so let me remove that. So how will you get the aliens? It's very simple. You simply say repo dot. Now, of course, in the interface, you can see we don't have, or not this one. If you see the interface here, we don't have any method, but see the magic. The moment you say repo dot, can you see that? How many methods you got? In fact, we also have a method which is find all. Find all is a method which we have not declared and we are not even defining it. Okay, so definition part is later, but how it is coming? We have not declared it. Now that's where this JPARepository is there. So when you say your interface extends JPARepository, JPA repository is a interface belongs to the Spring Data JPA library which we have added. And if you go there, you can see it has so many methods. All are declared. You can see we have find all, we have find all, we have find all by ID, we have, the list goes on, you know, we have get methods, we have remove. There are so many methods available here. If you can't find methods in this particular interface, even this interface extends another interface here. Some methods belong here. There's no method which is available here. Some methods are available in CRUD repository. And you can see we have some methods here. Okay, that's fine. You can just check them out later. So there are methods which are there in JPA repository which you are getting in Alien repository. You will say, okay, but all of them are declared, right? None of them is defined. That means we have to define them. Now, is it a good thing or a bad thing to define all the methods? Okay, let's see that. So without defining the class, what do you think? Will this work? Of course not, right? In Java, we have learned if you have not defined stuff, of course, this will not work. Let's try. Let's relaunch the application and let's see what may go wrong. I will say run as, in fact, I just have to restart the application. So you can see we have not got any error. Maybe we will get a runtime error. Let's go back to application, refresh. There's no error till now. Let me fetch all the aliens. I will just go back to the address bar and I will say get aliens. I will say enter. Oh, we got the error. Okay, it's not something we have not got the error, but then this is not the error because of that alien repository. This is the error because it says no default constructor for entity. The thing is, when you have this class alien, which has a parameterized constructor, it also needs a default constructor since you are making it entity. We forgot that point. So let's create a constructor here. I'll just type it. If we don't want to write anything in that, that's why I'm just specifying this. Let me restart the application once again. Go back to the Safari and hit refresh. And can you see that? We got the output. I know that's weird, right? Because nowhere we have written the code for fetching the data. We have not implemented the interface which is alien repo. And that's the magic. The library which we are working with here is the Data JPA. Now Data JPA says, say everyone works on CRUD repository, right? Everyone works on CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. So when you have those operations, what if I can do it for you? So Spring Data JPA says, hey developer, you don't have to worry about those operations. I will do it. So it has certain classes which implements JPA repository and it will take care of all the operations, the basic operations. And that's why we specify JPA repository, which will work with Alien. So all the operations, finding, deleting, saving, everything you will get just because of this line, which is JPA repository. And that's the beauty. So yes, there is a class which implements this repository, but we are not defining it. It is done by Spring Framework. And that's why I'm in love with Spring Boot. So just let me just go for a quick recap what we have done. We have created this layer, which is Alien repository. You can imagine this is a DAO, which extends the JPA repository here. Now JPA repository is responsible to give you all the basic operations. In the application.properties, we have specified 4 properties. One of the URL, username and password, and the dialect. And that's it. We have one more. In Alien, we have to make sure that this is entity, this is at ID, and we got a default constructor. Now, if you compare this code with the code which we have written here, look at the DAO layer code. Look at the code. How many lines are there? In fact, we just have 3 methods here. What if you have save method? What if you want to have remove method? Or save is there. What if you want to have update? So this code will go up. In fact, the idea is the more code you write, the more bugs you're adding in the software, right? And that's why Spring Boot is so awesome. You write less code and you get less errors. So that's it from this video in which we have talked about Spring Data JPA. So now let's implement the get alien, which is fetching only one particular alien, and how to add a new alien. So we already have those methods here in the controller, right? We have get alien and then we have add alien. Now, first of all, we don't need this list anymore. Let's remove that. And here, instead of returning the static code which we have done, let's return the data from the repository. Now, we don't have to add any method in the repo because everything is coming from JPA repository. So what we'll do here is we'll say repo dot. Now, which method we use to fetch that? So we have a method which is get. So the method name is get1, in which you have to pass the ID, which is AID in this case. And that's it. Your job is done. It will give you that particular element. Let's also implement the same thing, or maybe let's run this code first. So let's relaunch the application. And in the Safari, let's go back to the home page. Let's say refresh. Now into fetch, let's say 103. Let's click on submit. And you can see we got Kiran. That's what we have in database, right? So this is working. And just look at the code. We are not doing much of the code, but everything is given by Spring Data JPA. So let's implement add as well. Now, what do you think? What should be done here? It's very simple. Actually, you just have to say session, not you have to say repo dot. The method name, okay, we have to search for it. Now, what if you don't know the method name? So technically it should be somewhere around save or add or something. So if you see, we don't have any method like with a. So let's try save. So it saves, there's a method name as save, where you have to pass a. So now we are trying to save the alien object. Let me repeat, we are not doing any commit and rollback part here. Everything is done by Spring. So let's relaunch the application. In fact, in normal Spring MVC as well, we were using add transactional. So we were not doing those begin transaction, commit transaction part. So let's see in the Safari, let's refresh, and okay, this time we are adding it, right? So let's say 104, and this time we'll add, let's say, Mayur. Now, if you click on submit, you can see we got 104 Mayur. It is displayed in the page, but what about database? So let's go back to our MySQL and let's refresh. Can you see that we got 104 and Mayur? I guess I've entered the wrong spelling for Mayur. That's fine. But we got the data, right? That's important. So that's how we can add element, and that's how we can fetch a particular element. In fact, you can also try with remove. That will be assignment. How can you fire the query to remove something? Now, what if you want to fetch something based on some other parameter? So what I will do is, let me just go back to the index.jsp, and here, what if you want to fetch not based on the ID, but let's say based on the name, or maybe a table has a different parameter. When you say AID, that's a primary key, right? So it is very easy to fetch something with the help of primary key, and that's what your repo also suggests. In the repo itself, you specified the type of the ID you have, which is integer. But what if you want to fetch based on the name? Normally what happens is, in a table, you can have multiple aliens with the same name. How can you fetch something with name? Because if you go back to home controller, and if you, let's try this here. So if I say, let's say I want to fetch something, and we have this repo. The moment you say get, you can see it is asking you for the ID. It is not asking you for the name. Can we do that? Can we fetch something with the help of name? That we'll say in the next video. So let's try to find a particular alien with the help of name. Now, if you go back to your alien repository, we know that this extends JPA repository. And this JPA repository, by extending some other interface, or it has certain methods in it, all the methods are related to the ID, because that's how you find the element from the database, right, with the help of primary key. But now we want to fetch something not with the help of primary key. So what we are trying to do is, if I search for a particular alien, I'm not passing the AID, I'm passing a name. So what I'm saying is, let me just copy this code. Let me create another method, and this method name would be getAlien by name. Of course, you can have any name, doesn't matter, but let me just go with this name. So getAlien by name, and here as well, the request would be getAlien by name. I know it doesn't make sense to have in the URL, but that's fine. We can use the same thing. But you can have any URL, doesn't matter here, okay? So it's not that you have to follow this rule at this point. Now here, instead of having param as int, I will be having string, and this will be a name, right? So we are fetching with the help of a name. Now here with this repo, when you say get1, unfortunately, we cannot pass a name here because a name is not a primary key. So what to do? So what if I say, you can simply remove this part and you can say repo dot, you can see we have a method which is find by ID. So when you have an ID, you can find by ID. But now we have to say, hey, I'm not finding by ID, I'm finding by name. Just type it there. So you can say find by a name. That's it. And just pass a name here. But you can see we got an error. Of course, right? We don't have this method anywhere. And this is your own variable. Even JPA doesn't know that you want a name there. Okay, so what to do now? Now, since this method is not available in JPA, what if you create this method in your own repository? Let's create that. Let me just click on this and say create method find by name in the alien repo. You can see we got the method, and this will return you. Okay, now the thing is, it is possible that in a database you might be having multiple aliens, not one. So in this case, let me just go with the list of aliens. And here as well, we need to return the list. Okay, let's go back here. And now, will this work? Now, of course, right? If you talk about all these methods which are available in JPA repository, if JPA says, I will implement all the methods, that's fine because it is its own declaration. They have their own definition. But now, this is our declaration, right? So that means now we have to get a class which implements alien repository to define this particular method. Okay, let's not do that. Let's run this code. Let's see what happens. Maybe we'll get some errors. Let's run this code and let's go back to Safari. So this time I'm fetching an alien not by ID but by name. But we don't have a form there. We also need a form. So what I will do is I will just copy this code and paste it here. This time I will say enter your name. And this will be get alien by name. Is it the same thing we have? Yeah, get alien by name. Let's go back here and anything mentioned. Yeah, so we have to mention it is a name in this case. Let's go back to the controller just to verify. Yes, we have a name. We have a name. Let's run this now. So let's relaunch the application. Go back to the home page. Refresh. Okay. Oh, if you still not got the form, why? Oh, I'm in the wrong form. My bad. Let me just copy this, and now since we have multiple projects, that's where the confusion starts, right? So let's go back to index.jsp here and paste. So now let's relaunch the application. So refresh, and you can see we got enter by name. So I will enter name Naveen. Let's see if that works. Click on submit. Oh, it worked. Maybe it will not work with the second one. Let me just type Rose. Okay, it worked. Let me type some weird name. I will say Reddy. We don't have that in the database. Okay, we got empty list. That means it is fetching from database. And the amazing thing is it is working. And that's the magic of Spring JPA or Spring Data JPA. Now this thing here, it has a special feature and it is known as the query DSL. Now DSL stands for domain specific language, which means depending upon what variables you have, depending upon what properties you have, JPA will provide you the queries. But that doesn't mean you can use anything you want. You have to follow a particular thing here. So example, it should start with find by. You can't simply say anything else here. So it can be get by or find by. And then here, after that, this should be your variable name. The first letter has to be capital. You can't say a name or you can't say anything else. You can't even say name because we don't have a variable as name. The variable name is a name. So you have to follow that protocol. The first thing is you have to say find by or get by. Then you have to mention the variable name. You have to also pass the name which you are searching for. So that's how we can specify our own stuff. But what if you want to have something more? Let's say if you want to provide descending order, you can also do that. You can also say order by. If you got a list and you can, if you want to reverse it, you can do that. You can say order by a name. Let's say control space. Okay, but let's verify this once and go back to your Safari. I'm fetching by name. I will just submit. And you can see at least we got one name. But what if I go back to database? Let me just insert some more. In fact, why from database? We can do it from here. Let's say it is 106 and let me add Naveen one more time. Oh, we have, how can I say order by Naveen? Because we only have one record, right? My bad. Let's try. So I will say submit. And you can see we got two Naveens here. And first is 101, second is 106. So I will say order by AID.a name. Here as well, I have to change it. So I have to say order by AID. Let's relaunch. And let me say refresh here. They are in sequence. Let's also say descending order. So that's what we do in the SQL, right? We say order by, and then we also say DAC if you want to see in reverse. Okay, this is what we wanted, right? So you can see we got AID 106 as first and 101 as second. So that's how we can play with this. In fact, we can also apply or and here. So you can say find by a name and you can pass the first parameter. You can also say or find by a name with some other name. So you can try that. So you can have multiple methods available. So that's the beauty of query DSL here. So that's great. We have query DSL. We can have multiple methods here. But what if you want to have your own query? Can we have our own queries here? That we'll see later. Till this point, we have seen how to work with JPA repository. Now, JPA repository provides you certain features, right? You can create the resource, read, update, delete. But all this thing works with the help of primary key. But what if you want to fetch some data with some other parameter, which is not a primary key in this case? So yes, you can create those methods just by writing find by and mention the variable name. You can also specify, is it order by, is it like or not like or something like that. You can mention all those stuff. But what if you don't want to use methods, but you want to use the query? Okay, I'm not talking about SQL query here. We can do that. But what if you want to use JPQL? What if you want to use HQL? So this JPA repository or Spring Boot data provides you that feature. So what you can do is, if you want to use a query, it's very simple. First of all, what I will do is I will just come in this section. So I want to fetch the alien based on their name, but not using this method. So I want a different method name here. So I will say list of alien, and I will have the method name as find, just to show that it is not matching with any of the method which we have done before. And then in this, I want to accept a particular variable. So I will say string a name, the way we have done in the above code. Okay, so once we have done that, we have to do one more change. If you go back to your home controller, here as well, you have to mention the method name as find. So it's not anymore find by a name, order by something. We just have to mention find. Go back to alien repo. And now here, this will not work, right? Because we have not specified in the name what you want to fetch, in fact, what you want to pass. And is it order by or something? So in that case, you can specify the query here itself. And if you want to specify the query, we need to use a query annotation. So I'll be saying @query. Okay, you have to make sure that you're taking it from JPA repository. Now, once you got the query annotation, in bracket, you can specify the query which you want. Now, in this case, I'm using JPQL, so I'll be saying from alien. So I'm not using SQL where you have to say select star from stuff. You can simply say from alien where a name is equal to. Okay, now this the actual value is coming in the method itself, right? So whatever value you're receiving here from the controller will be passed in the query. So in that case, you have to use a placeholder. Now, if you are coming from JDBC, we have used prepared statement where you pass question marks. Here, we don't have to pass question mark. We have to use placeholders. We can say colon a name, right? But how do you specify that whatever is coming in the a name will be replaced here? Or maybe I will simply say name just to show the difference. So I want to specify this name is a placeholder for this a name. And the way you can do that is by using a param annotation. You have to make sure that it is coming from the repository, data repository again. And in the bracket, you have to mention the name using which you are fetching it. So it's name. So whatever is coming in this a name will be assigned to this name at the runtime. Okay, that's what we have specified here. Let's verify if it is working. Let's relaunch the application. Go back to our Safari, and now I'm fetching a particular alien. Click on submit, and it worked. Can you see that? It worked. So yes, we can use the methods or we can use query. In fact, the advantage with query, you can pass complex queries, okay? Not just this is simple, but try different complex queries here. So that's about how can we use query in JPA.